unify behind somebody fairly early. And I think that it's to the extent organizations and Tea Party group, like, figure out who your guy is, and don't let it get into months and months of the 4 or 5 guys fighting for the conservative mantle, beating the hell out of each other with negative ads, while the quote-unquote establishment or moderate guy cruises through with no real competition. But as I said, I don't think Bush. I have my doubts that Bush is going to run, and I think Christie is damaged goods. Not in so much like, yes, he's got the charisma, and everybody kind of the fat guy who gives you the skinny, that kind of stuff. Yeah, actually, Walker is the guy. Presuming he comes through okay in the re-election bid. And here's the challenge: is that Scott Walker is, by the standards of Wisconsin Republicans, phenomenally popular, which means he's got about a ceiling of support of about 52%. It's a purple state at best. And can he win re-election? Yeah, in fact, I'd bet the money that he's probably going to win. But he's probably going to win 52-48, and he doesn't have a big room for error. And of course, because he's Scott Walker, every liberal group and their brother is going to be spending in tons of money, and doing everything they possibly can. Yeah, because he's a tool of the Koch brothers, peace be upon them. And I figure this is the right crowd to do that with. And so, I think, here's the thing. My suspicion is that there will be a real appetite for, there are a couple guys who are going to say, I'm the conservative guy. Ted Cruz might run. Rand Paul kind of qualifies for that, but he has this kind of quasi, deeply conservative, but also very libertarian stuff. In some ways, what Rand Paul is trying to do, reaching out to young voters, angry about the NSA stuff and Silicon Valley, talking about drug sentencing and decriminalization, if not legalization of marijuana in some communities. Like he's got some very interesting ideas there. I think I can summarize my particular perspective as I'm a guy who wants Rand Paul at the table, but maybe not sitting at the head of the table. Libertarians are really, really important to listen to, but you don't want them to drive the car. Speed limits are just a tool of oppression, man. No. I noticed you're not wearing the seatbelt either. That's fascism. Read my next book, Driving with Libertarians. And we love them. They're great. I can live very happily in a world run by libertarians, but every once in a while, I'll be in a sense of like, hi, I'd like to have a school to send my kid to. So pay for it yourself. Anyway, so it's going to be, there's going to be, I got to say, I have a diehard man crush on Bobby Jindal. I got to write about what he was doing down in Louisiana back when he ran for re-election in 2011, and the Democrats could not find somebody to run against him. And this is, remember, Louisiana used to be a heavily Democratic state, and so I wanted to say, so how did he do this? And the short answer is, kind of like the stories of hitting bottom, that post Katrina and post the end of Kathleen Blanco, or perhaps Blanc would be a more appropriate response to her description of her leadership. That basically that the state was willing to try, okay, he's Indian, he doesn't look like previous governors before, he speaks 8,000 words a minute and we can barely understand him, but and he's small and he's skinny, but let's give him a try. And it turns out Bobby Jindal's a really smart guy who knows how to make stuff work. And you can find out, has he done everything right? No, he still is okay with tax subsidies for TV production. I'm not going to say he's perfect, but you want to talk about by the measuring stick of how was your state or where you run from where you began to where it is today. I think Bobby Jindal has about as good a record as anybody else. Now, the one guy who might be able to give him go to toe on that in that criteria, who I think is going to run again, is Rick Perry. And there are a lot of reasons to think Rick Perry wants to run again. I think there are a lot of conservatives that feel like, even if he wasn't ready in 2012, they felt like he really got a raw deal with the debate line and kind of judging a man based on one sentence. Also, you may have noticed that Rick Perry now has the hipster glasses, so he's an intellectual now. Remember I was talking about the way the media shapes our our impressions. Like, well, in movies you put on the glasses, you're the smart intellectual, and when the girl takes off her glasses, throws back the hair, all of a sudden she's a hot chick, right? So I think Rick Perry has decided, oh, he's got glasses now. He's a lot smarter than the stereotype was of him back in 2012. So Perry, Jindal, Jeb Bush, Christie, Rubio, and I kept Rubio as a guy who one of my favorites from the beginning. I like him a lot. I wrote a profile of him long before almost anybody else was. Really was waiting for him to just have this moment of like, on the Gang of Eight, or some called it the Gang of Ocho legislation, on immigration, for him to look at this and say, and look, this is amnesty. You 7 guys tricked me. This is terrible, And he kind of has done it. He will open up and he'll say, well, you really can't do it right now because nobody trusts the Obama administration to enforce the law, that they'll just ignore laws that they find inconvenient. And, I hear that and I say, yeah, Senator, yeah. That's why we don't want to empower the Obama administration to do much of anything for the next 2.5 years.